This is a still life from my kitchen window. I hope you like it. I set this up with a lot of different foregrounds. I thought the lace and the quilt were too busy, so I went with a very simple cloth. I also simplified the plate and the ivy to make it easier to paint. You need a good outline for this, and here's how I traced mine. I taped my outline to the top of my watercolor paper, then I placed the graphite paper underneath. Be sure you have the graphite side down. Then I used a stylus to carefully go over the lines. I'm also going to use this stylus with masking fluid to mask some thin lines around the right side of the plate, the tops of the ivy, and a lot of that plate scene. I didn't mask all of it because I got tired of masking. You can see the masking, it's the dark lines. First, paint the background light blue. Mix at least twice as much blue as you think you're going to need. I'm using a big brush for the big areas and a small brush for the edges and the small areas. You can paint right over the outer edges of the plate because that part is clear and the background would show through. You can paint over the geranium on the right also. That makes it easier. If you have standing liquid, tilt your paper to carefully run it off and wipe around the edges. Next, we're going to use that leftover blue to add shadows to the bottom. Some people have a hard time painting shadows, so I'm going to show you some easier tricks. Start by wetting the paper, just damp, not too wet. Next, add a little brown to your blue until you get a blue-gray. Paint the window casing in the back and paint the shadows under the plate and the bowl. Also paint the side of this cloth where it drops over the edge. And then dry well. To darken the shadows, I'm mixing a darker blue-gray with the same colors. I'm just using more paint. You don't want wimpy shadows, so darken anything that needs it. Paint a blue line above the lace. And paint the dark spots through the lace. While you have the blue paint, go ahead and paint the cushion that the cat is lying on and the inside of the windows on the left. Oops, I forgot those windows. I'll have to paint them later. Now comes the fun part. You get to paint all the little areas with your favorite colors, or follow along with the colors in the reference photo. If you didn't do any masking lines, try to leave a line of white between the areas, but don't sweat it. You can add white lines at the end with opaque white if you really want them. For the brick planter, you don't have to paint every brick. Just paint the whole thing brick red, and we'll add the white lines for the bricks at the end. The cat looks best if it's a very dark black, but you could paint it the same color as your own cat. Just keep it very simple, and if you need more detail, outline it at the end. For the green, I'm mixing a lot of green, so I'll have enough for the ivy also. I love mixing phthalo blue with brown or gold to make beautiful rich greens. I saved a little bit of that dark green here on the side, and then I lightened the rest of it by adding yellow. Be sure the lines on your ivy are dark enough that you're going to be able to see them through this first wash of color. If they aren't, reinforce them with your pencil. Paint the whole ivy area green. When my ivy was done, before it dried, I touched in a brush loaded with yellow to make kind of like some yellow blooms or yellow areas. That makes it more lively looking and less flat. And then dry this well. For the second coat on the ivy, use the darker green to paint the darker areas, just like you see on the outline page. These won't look much like ivy close up, but just keep going. You don't really have to paint every leaf. Once you stand back, you'll find that it looks pretty good. To add shading to the plate, I'm painting a dark blue line on the left side, and you can add a little darker blue on the right side behind the white highlight. My shadows wimped out, so I'm giving those another coat too. I decide to mix my blue-gray with my leftover black to make it a good bit darker. The dark value and lace at the bottom of this painting helps to balance the composition. Don't forget to paint the bowl. I mixed yellow and brown for beige, and then added a tiny bit of blue-gray. You want the sides of the bowl lighter and the middle to be the darkest. You can use a thirsty brush to lift up color, or just keep playing with it until it looks right. If you get anything too dark, just re-wet it and dab off the paint. The lace is a variegated blue, so I just dab or dot on some bright cobalt blue here and there. Then I take an ink pen and do tiny diagonal lines across the upper blue line, and outline some curvy lace lines at the bottom. Now it's time to evaluate. If your shadows have hard edges, you can re-wet them and rub them with a paintbrush, or use a damp Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser to gently rub the hard edges and soften them up. Bricks are easy too. Just paint the white lines between the bricks with opaque white, and you have instant bricks. You can use a pencil or a pen to draw in the cat's nose and cheeks. Last, paint a white inner line around the edges of the plate. And it's finished. This still life does require some careful tracing and painting of all those little areas. Simplify this as much as you like. Your painting doesn't have to look just like mine to be a success. They're all unique. Happy painting!